Hello everyone, good evening. Thank you all for joining us. So today we are having a talk by Mr. Abir Karmakar, whose show is currently at view in our beautiful gallery. I hope you have a great time and be inspired with his practices like I have been all this time. Thank you and thank you for joining us, Mr. Abir.
It's fine. Thank you for being here. So today the presentation which I'm going to show actually mostly it covers my entire journey actually from the beginning when I decided to be an artist. A few works are from there, and then my till now actually. So yeah, please. So this is this in. I was born and brought up in Shiliguri, and during my standard 9-10, I joined an art school. That's the first time I came to know about art college. So the art teacher told me I should join art school. So this is done during that time, and this is most probably my first self-portrait. 1993, I completed my class 10. So around that time I did it. And this is before that, since childhood I was doing mostly copying masters and whatever thing was available. But after joining art school, I first came to know about still life and other mediums and other subjects actually. So this is one of the still life which I did, and this is something which I said that I still remember, it took almost 2 weeks to finish it, because I almost like counted each and everything and then drew it from life. So this is almost like it about patience and other thing actually. Yeah. This is my grandmother's room. This is not the way actually the room is. I was into Van Gogh actually. I was reading since childhood. Whatever I used to read, I not only read it, I used to paint like them to understand it. So this is I painted. This is a poster on a board. There's a lot of distortion to paint like Van Gogh. So almost like I feel when I see it, I was like it talks about the decay of that space actually. What I used to feel, that smell of the old and this old that I was trying to paint. Next, and it is in and this is the same room. It is a imperial size. Both. This is the same room, same year painted, 1994. Is one of the first oil. On a simple cloth pasted on a handmade paper. Again, there's a lot of distortion in the room. Although it was painted in the space for life, but it is not, the room doesn't at all look like it. It is almost what I feel, that that almost like a sun is setting down, and that the smell of incense sticks in the room, or the oil, burning oil of the lamp. I want to paint those in that image actually, the gods and goddesses on the wall. So what I used to, when I used to enter my grandmother, the things which I used to feel, that I want to paint. So I joined art school, Indian Art College in 1996. Yeah, so the curriculum is very much academic. The focus was mostly on still life, portraiture, nude study and composition. Yeah, so this is one of the still life which I did during my 4th year most probably. So you can see a very academic kind of, this is, I am showing because this is my base where I come from actually. Yeah, 3 feet by 4 feet. This is all life in the classroom done. The curriculum was that 15 days is portraiture, and again 15 days still life for 15 days, and this way it is. It's a portrait model study. This is the kind of composition which was encouraged in the college was a kind of what you were Indian College of Arts and Draftsmanship in Calcutta. So the kind of composition which I encouraged was based on very much figurative kind of, but I didn't like it. I mean, the kind of books I was reading mostly about American Expressionism, mostly Jasper Jones, Rauschenberg, and even David Sall. So those influences were there in my work. So you can see the Jasper Jones kind of composition. This is one of the first nude also, my self-portrait again. Same, I mean, I was quoting Salvador Dali and then the skeleton all. So this is the compositional structure. I mean, it is almost like breaking what was been taught in the faculty. After coming to Baroda, I joined Baroda Art School in 2001. So, yeah, and passed in 2003. This was done in 2002, in master's final year. So, when I came to Baroda, I was practicing in the first year. Mostly, I was doing the kind of artwork which I was continuing. I mean, almost continuing what I was doing earlier. But after a point, I felt it is meaningless. I was not. I mean, I can't see future in that practice actually. But I don't know where to go. So I stopped doing painting for a while and started to experiment with different kind of mediums. Yeah, so this is here the paintings becomes a part of the piece actually, not a whole. So it is kind of a skeleton of a drainage system. So this is the first time I was, I mean, trying to recreate body. Yeah, through different kind of mediums, painting and also different mediums. This is a text from American poet Frank Limmer. I ate the dream of, this is a little bit cut most probably. I ate the dream of sand, the color of flesh. It is almost, I mean, there are a lot of text also I was using during that time, and beneath you will see mobile and there's an oil on canvas. This is pipes which I casted. It looks very organic kind of. Next. Yeah. This is the painting which is behind. This is the intestine of a cow. So this is one of the piece which I did during a master's actually. This is made with surgical pipes, acrylic sheet, mirror and my body impression. This is kind of fetishizing the body, trying to recreate the body and also, I mean, recreate not the body, recreate flesh. Yeah, and fetishizing flesh, and also there's a lot of text written on the surface and beneath the surface actually also on the mirror. You can see there's a detail might be there. Next please. Yeah, you can see. So almost like the expression of the body actually. Next. Yeah, same. I mean, there's a extras was written there and a lot of again text from Frank Limmer, American poet Frank. Yeah, all the text written there. So after passing out, it was hard to continue my experiments actually, mostly due to financial reason actually. I mean, I didn't have a studio. I had to rent a space and to stay, I mean, in a small space, and didn't have that much money to, I mean, continue my experiment actually. And so after a while, I started doing pure paintings. I mean, these are portraits from my faculty actually students. I asked one of my friend, I gave a small point and shoot camera, film camera, and asked him to go to the faculty and take images whomever you want. And he took many images which I developed and then I selected few and then painted. These are basically the series called known unknown series actually. And here it also there's a text. There's also the way I was using text. So here you can see the blood tells about life, and the loo, which is in the text, it tells about waste. So yeah, so these are all small. I mean, 9 inches by 12 inches portraits, oil on canvas. So the language, I was slowly moving into the other language actually, I mean, which you can say, I mean, based on mostly photographs actually, largely depending on the photographs. But photographic, using photograph as a reference was always there. I mean, since my, when I was in practice in Kolkata also, I mean, most of the images, although there are a lot of distortions, but I mean, they were always using photographs as a reference. Yeah. So after the series, I mean, I did a show which called Before After. There was, I mean, I was trying to deal with the psychological crisis of human being, where I mean, where people want to be perfect. So something, you know, see this advertisement used to come in newspaper before and after, which after alteration, what happens, this kind of thing. I mean, so from there, I mean, it was an image. I first time in that series, I painted myself as a protagonist actually, and there was a diptych where I portrayed myself as in a drag. From that series, I developed another series which called From a Photo Album. It was in 2004, end of 2004. So this is from my first solo from my photo album. So here I was trying to create a fictional autobiography, a parallel world for myself. You know, coming from a middle class background, I mean, you don't have much choice. I mean, there are limited choices in your life. I mean, so here I felt that being an artist, I mean, you can create a parallel world where you can be whatever you want to be actually. And also I was largely you know, this I used to see when I was in Kolkata, I was used to see my friends actually there used to be chat rooms, you know, in cyber cafe. Small cabins used to be during that time. So I used to go to the cabins, they used to take pseudonyms, and then they used to, students, mostly girls' names, and to chat. It was like a game, like a pastime to them actually at that time. I mean, so chat means they used to try the the unknown person, to try to seduce him actually. Yeah, this is kind of game, and also largely influenced the Marshall Duchamp alter ego. Yeah, so there are a lot of things which came into play. That I mean, in this series there was a deliberate attempt to seduce the viewer. Yeah, and also I mean, not only by portraying myself as a drag, but also the way I painted. Yeah, I mean, the images mostly comes from magazines and advertisements actually, which I felt that this is the the world which people want to be, aspire to be actually. Yeah. So so the world which I created was mostly influenced by the media. So this is another series which interiors as a psychological space. What happened in the first solo, a lot of people started to interpret the works as homosexual paintings or metrosexual paintings. It's a more largely, it was metro. The time was that, where Shah Rukh Khan first time appeared in the Lux advertisement. He endorsed Lux soap bar and appeared in a rose petal, bhatta full with rose petals. This is the first time a star like Shah Rukh Khan appeared in a bar, at that kind of advertisement, which is mostly Lux bar was mostly endorsed by the mostly the actresses. So there were a lot of gender blending was going on during that time. And also, a lot of, it was the time where, where David Beckham's fully tattooed body, which was a lot of it was celebrated a lot in the media. And so when the show was on, the media largely covered it by metrosexual works, and the art world perceived it as a homosexual paintings, because I come from Baroda, the Bhupen Kaka was there. Yeah. So, so although the intention was different, but I wanted to deliberately mislead the viewer. It is almost like I'm new in the art world, nobody is to me, I don't have any identity in the art world actually. So I want to project a persona which I am not, or I am not means which is something partially I am there, not fully, something, a construction, something. Yeah. So what happened when the first, the second solo interiors, I want to deliberately mislead it. For example, if the previous image, if you see, here you can see, I quoted Alexander Deinecker. And Alexander Deinecker comes from Russian realism, who did a lot of paintings on male bonding, but later they were interpreted as homosexual work, not during his lifetime. Yeah, this is the images which on the wall comes from my life in when I was in Kolkata, that male bonding. Yeah. So here my wife has a surgery, and then she was at home, and I was taking my wife's role, and then me, both were making the bed. So this, what happens, I mean, certain image becomes almost like a sign, and it, people takes granted, okay, this image stands for this. So I want to liberate it, I want to make it, I will use it in such way that compel people to think in that direction where it is not actually. Yeah, that, I mean, yeah. So same, the material man, the books tries to define masculinity in this period, I mean millennium period actually, that period actually, these books, and everywhere, not only art, media, sports, and every aspect. This is the one piece, the first time I painted myself nude actually. It is something, both in the whole series actually, there were 6 paintings actually, and the whole series almost like it felt that, I mean, me and my splitted ego is both are there, but there's a certain amount of distance between them. There, I mean, there's a, so this is one aspect, that's sitting on the dining table, and then hardly, I mean, it's no communication, there's a kind of tension is in the space. So this is another series which I did in 2006. It is called I Love, Therefore I Am. It is about autoerotism. It is about loving oneself to such extent it becomes, I mean, yeah, I mean, something could be, one can say, obscene, or I mean, yeah. Next, there's a small 1 feet 1 feet canvas. Certain licking own body, yeah. So there was a kind of performative approach in my work. I mean, almost like, you know, earlier I used to pose myself, I mean, for a certain image, but later what happened, I act it, it was documented, and then I select it, a certain image, and then I paint. So there's a blending of this both discipline actually, the painting, which is very much, you can say, language very much traditional kind of, I mean, I always love masters, I mean, that chiaroscuro and other things which I am trying to retain. Also this performative element. This is another series called in 2007. After that I did in the old fashioned way. Particularly this piece actually, I mean, there are a few more. I was showing in Kolkata for the first time, And then there was a tradition in Kolkata art college that when there's a female nude study, female was entirely nude, but when there's a male nude, but male used to wear underwear. Yeah, this was the tradition actually. So I wanted to paint myself as a model when shown in Kolkata. So but nude, but embodying the feminine aspect in the body, almost like not the so-called masculine body which you see. It was same time where where in the media this 6 packs, 8 packs were celebrated, and when I go back in art history, I see that male body has always been depicted in the Greco-Roman way, and that has been celebrated actually, not the way it is. Yeah. So there is always as if people don't want to confront it. Next. Yeah. So these are big, large works. The reference comes from two. One is art history, and also softcore porns. So almost like the reclining nude. They're almost big, they're 12 feet long. So here I did what this. I quoted Vito Acconci actually. He did one of his performances. He did conversion. What he did, he to connect with the feminine being. What he did, he burnt his body hair with a candle. And the second performance, what did he tucked his penis between his thighs and he tried to walk and dance. Yeah. So this is I quoted that actually in this series. Yeah. This is comes from the series called Within the Walls. So I was in London, and the gallery kept me a very posh hotel, and then way so much uncomfortable in the space. It was in central London actually, and so this is a kind of performance I did. I have a very private kind of performance which was documented. Not for my wife Sathi. Yeah. So so this is in the far portion. The carpet looks like the texture looks like body of a tiger, a very masculine feel. And then so here the uncomfortness which I felt in that space, which I documented it, and then I painted it later. Yeah, there are more actually. This is a triptych. This is another.
Why are the legs bound?
Yeah, it's bound. Something to state that the clutter in the room, the legs bound, something to bring a psychological state to, the bondage and other things actually. Maybe, it could be metaphorical, it could be read in different ways.
So it could also mean that sometimes when you feel lazy and you don't want to do the things around.
Could be. There's a one way of interpretation, but I felt it that the bondage becomes very social kind of bondage actually, where yeah. Yeah, this is the same room again. This is called line drawings, where I try to draw a line on my body by pressing the flesh, and then I documented it and I painted it. So you are just pressing your own flesh, and yeah, next you can say. Yeah. Yeah, there are many ways. I always use photograph as a reference, but the sourcing the photographs comes from different aspects actually, according to the idea. Till now, there is a one source that not always the found. For example, in the old-fashioned way, it's not from a photo album. Mostly the photographs are found images, which I juxtapose myself in the image according to the idea. But later on, it becomes more performative kind of. Here is totally performative. I mean, they are pressing on body, trying to create line, because the male body are trying to create curved line on a male body. I mean, 3 feet at 3 feet kind of all and kind. So this is done in 2010. In 2008, I became father. So wanted to celebrate fatherhood. Now, when you refer, always go back. Coming from artistry background, I'm sorry, visual art background actually. So I always look what happened before. Yeah. So I felt that although I mean mother and child since Renaissance, it becomes a very iconic image. And here in India, I mean Krishna and Jashoda become an iconic image which talks about motherhood. But when you talk about fatherhood, there is hardly any kind of image. I mean, it talks about fatherhood. I mean, so I wanted to create a image through the devices which were developed during the Renaissance, either triangular composition, the light, the perspective, all those things actually. So this is called Retake the Holy Family. Same, I mean, another painting celebrating fatherhood. This is, I mean, 6 feet by 9 feet. All on canvas. All on canvas actually. There's a video in 2010 I did. I invited 3 young men from the mostly my age, doing, and they are not model, they are professionals. One is to teach computer, one is a cook, and they are different professions. I mean, I asked them to come to my studio and sleep naked. I made a bed in the studio, there's a camera on the top, and I asked them. So I documented, and they slept in 3 consecutive nights actually. Yeah, I left the camera on and they left, and they're sleeping naked. With this footage, I did a video which is called Scent of a Bed. Nothing is, I mean, they come from a joint family as myself, and after growing up, this is the first time they are sleeping naked, and all in a foreign place. I mean, not in the home known space actually. So what happened? I mean, so what happens? I mean, with a body. I mean, so that's why I want to document. And also, I mean, I played with opacity. So what happens here that cannot figure it out that who is touching whom, and it is very poetic kind of. I mean, almost like, I mean, it is physically impossible for a person to see the entire video. It's very formal kind of, very structurally parallel. Not yeah, what happens. Everybody knows what is happening, going to happen next. Only thing that is there's slight movements and there's no movement at all. It's very formal kind of approaches there. From that series, I did another be a video. I started to do another series called Scent series. I started to paint hotel beds, a space which is public, but for a moment becomes private, and you never know who slept in that bed previous night. Yeah, so I mean, it deals with that private and public space actually. So what happened previously in the previous body of work, which I mean, from now on actually, what happened, there is the absence presence of the human being, not actually, I am not painting figure. Yeah, previously what happened, whatever, when I was painting those things, there was I was trying to blur the boundaries between that what is right and what is wrong, what is masculine and feminine, and what is the private public. Yeah, from here it started to move a different direction. I mean, that private public is there, but it's more about that body or the absence presence of the body and its relationship with the immediate surrounding. I mean, how the body leaves traces. So when you talk about body, it could be a body, could be a a single person or a couple or a community or even a culture, and how it impact the immediate surrounding. So this is from now on, it mostly it is about that. So these are hotel beds which I slept or my friends slept, and they shared the images with me and I painted them. Yeah, I mean there's a, I mean to do this painting I actually went to a hotel in Baroda and checked it. Another series called porno paintings. This all comes from pornographs from the what is it, internet. Now the size of the painting is almost like a screen size. So it is almost like reclaiming a space which is considered taboo. So almost like when you paint an interior, we know spaces by the person who occupied it. Always identify space by through that only. I mean every time. So this is something kind of, I mean, to see that if you would, I mean, delete the characters from the space, and does it feel that is a taboo space? Because there are a lot of paintings I did almost look like sacred space also. It always comes from this taboo world actually. So almost like, I mean, single interior is painted different angles, almost like looking into the space, a kind of inquiry. They are small, 24 by 18 inches or 16 inches. So there another video was, I made another video which called shadows of distressing dreams. It is almost like extension of the video which I did earlier, that scent video, but here there were 2 males and 2 females. The structure is nearly same, and they were mixed. They were both sleeping together, dressed, and then sleeping in the same bed naked later. Is another video called A Long Whisper. This is in 2013 I did another sculpture. What happened in my practice, whenever I felt stuck or I don't fit, I feel, I mean, path to move forward, I change medium. Yeah, and I try to deal with other aspect and then again come back. So what happened here, I did the sculpture first. It is from found objects, I mean all window grills and kitchen windows and other things. It was shown in a show, and after this I did a door. Yeah, this painting. Yeah, so it becomes, it looks like a sculpture. Initially thought like a formal aspect, it looks like a illusion of a, I mean, actual door. Yeah. Next. So another, I mean, work. I mean, this is a mosquito net painted with acrylic, almost trying to create a body where the pores were trying to, I were to fill the pores with paint to create a kind of claustrophobic space. Another experiment actually, this is this oil on canvas, but the light which is supposed to be on is behind. It almost looks like a pathway is there at the back. It deals with the aspect of fear and anxiety. This is series called follow piece. Is a set of 10 works. In 1969, Vito Acconci did a performance called Following Piece, where he followed a stranger. He used to go out from a studio and started to follow any random stranger up to a possible time. Yeah, so every day they used to do. Here what I did, that I went to a couple's, actually the painter in Baroda, and I documented every room from living room to bedroom. I painted it, and it was displayed such way that the stranger is following the couple actually from one space to another space. And personally, it also that we shared the same marriage anniversary. So almost like it feels like a looking and another couple who started the journey the same date, the same time. Yeah, fisheye perspective. It looks like peeping into another space. Somebody. Nowadays, what happened? And when I was growing up, CCTV was nowhere, and slowly started to see that here and there, public spaces. Now it becomes part of. Everybody in the home also started to install this camera. Now this watching and being watched is become part of life. Yeah. So this is talks about at one we upload our private life on social media. Another way, install this all images, security cameras inside our home. So this also deals with that. So that was 2015. This is 2016. So in the Kochi, what I did, that I actually made this physically, that people are moving into this space and moving to one another. And the other aspect is that this is this house is comes from Bhuj, Kutch, and they never migrated ever. So my idea was to virtually take them and in Fort Kochi and put them in a Portuguese bungalow actually. This space, it was Portuguese bungalow, but later it converted into a gallery, Kashi art gallery actually it was, and then it was lying there. So almost I had to create another domestic space, but not the virtual original meant for, but for bringing people from different culture. So almost bringing another culture into another culture, to see what happens.
So all of this was painted like on board?
On canvas. On canvas, and this is the first time actually I made shaped canvases. Yeah. So what happened? The viewer is not just seeing the painting; he becomes almost like participating, because it becomes the space. I used domestic tube lights the first time, evenly lit. Entire space is evenly lit. So what happens? The negative space, the space which a viewer is standing, also becomes part of the piece. And when the viewer is moving through the one painting to another painting, it becomes almost like a participant. So the whole space becomes an extension of the painting. It blurs the boundaries between the painted reality and the physical reality.
It's also dimensions are made to
Exactly, dimensions. The site specific work. I went there, took the dimension of the space. This is very much, yeah. What happens? I mean, although I was doing different kind of experimentation one on and off, but I mean there was a conscious choice of which I took a certain point that I want to do oil paint, and also the language, very language which is very academic or extension of that. Yeah, and tried to push it further. So looking at different disciplines, actually art, performance, or different kind of site specific other things, and how to incorporate those into the traditional format of painting. This is, I mean, almost, I mean, 10 feet by 10 feet this size. So here what happens, this, you see this, I mean, the TV, the proportion is wrong. So almost like, I mean, to a space which is trying to fit into another space, so it tries to expand it, and there's a lot of distortions also there. A forced entry. So every element comes from that house only, nothing comes from outside, but there are a lot of the few changes acting the compositional structure, that's all. So almost becomes a portrait of certain space also. The cupboard, you can see, this is huge, it's not physically possible to open it. When I took this piece to show this piece in Mumbai, so I mean the question was what happened to the life of site specific work. I mean, does it end there? How, what is the, because it was originated with the purpose. So when the purpose is solved, what happens to it? So this is one of my query. So what I did here, I create a stage. So I mean that home as a impermanent space, I mean as if one can move it and alter it according to their own wish. This is another site specific work. This, I mean, the first room was that, second room another, where the gallery was once it was again a domestic space which is converted to a gallery. The opening was enlarged, so I made it that opening a domestic opening, a middle class domestic opening, 6.5 feet by 3 feet. So one moves through into the to go another side, yeah, other side of the painting. So here the piece which I did shown in Kochi, there's a long, big, but space is small. So what I did to fit into another space. So I took that I made the wall carve. So what happens here, that when the viewer comes and see this, I mean painting, they cannot see the painting on whole. You have to walk along the painting through it, and then they see the paintings and bits and parts, and then they try to figure out about the whole piece. So this is the way we interact every day. I mean, in our own home, we don't distance ourselves from our home. We see in close, and then, yeah, that's the way I.
Sorry, it went
Back. Yeah, next. So another side of work. Yeah, this is one of the first landscape which I did. It has, I showed this because it a connection with this actually. Large space, you see the bottom is almost like this actually. It was shown in Mumbai. The interesting part is this, behind this wall, this Taj, and beside there's Arabian Sea. We cannot see the sea from here, from the window. There's two windows are there behind. Yeah, and so wanted to bring the outside inside, which are not visible. The sea is so close, but yet it is not. And also it has a certain thing that the history of what happened 26/11. I mean the episode which has happened. So that terror which enters into the public space. Public into the home actually. So this is something, although that is not mentioned here. It is just a simple vista. But I mean the title is that abandon of all that is rational. Daybreak. That's the title. So there is a slight reference to the incident, but not overtly. Almost, I mean, a large space. I'm covering the entire wall. Probably, I mean, 17 feet, something like that. These are, I mean, stack of doors, all on canvas. After Kochi, the first door which I did as a formal. I found that it lies between painting and sculpture. But here, after Kochi, I started to see that work very differently. Because of the origin where the doors comes from. The doors were mostly lying on the road street. They were part of a certain body, certain home, and then when the home is broken, they were put on the street side for resale, and they were supposed to be fit into another space, and never know it is going to fit in another space or not. I felt that whole journey, that fitting into another space, I really don't know whether it's going to fit or not. It becomes it talks about human life actually. So this door, I mean, which talks about moving to another space, and then so I feel that this allegorical very much. Also this, I mean, imbuing painting and sculpture, freestanding painting.
And on both sides?
Well, yeah, there is the other side, this is the back side. Yeah, from side. It's on a wall. So all the reference comes from roadside doors. There is a show which I had last time in Delhi, 2019. Trying to treat the wall very formally. I mean, something upside down. I mean, the title of the show was "Here Everything Is Fine." You have seen that, yeah. Yeah. Like in painting and sculpture. So the references comes from here students who have migrated to have come to Baroda for study, and the other image was, I mean, but a family, young family, Bengali family who bought a new home in Baroda, and other image comes from a family, aged family, whose entire life was in other state, and then moved back to Bengal and made a home and staying there. The three walls are different. Yeah. The behind the wall, that is the family from who moved to Bengal and made a home. This is a student. Yeah. Yes. This is called Get 4 feet by 5 feet painting. So again, playing with the distance between the viewer and the piece. I mean, folding the space in between actually. Formally. This is called Colony. This area, once Baroda, the whole Baroda mostly actually, every home used to have terrazzo tiles. Now it has been changed to vitrified tiles or other tiles actually. Now what happened, in my area, on the road I saw full of tiles, which has been thrown out, from a home. I took a tempo and loaded everything brought in my studio and seeing each and every tile painted. There are almost 1050 tiles actually. It talks about that particular space, where a certain generation have lived. And also it talks about that when we moved out from a home, the way I moved out from my home, or people moved out, and then they spread out actually. And or the other way, this area I am living, they come from different village 50 years back, and then made a society there, colony there actually. It talks about human migration. It talks about, at one side it talks about that portraiture of a certain home, and also talks about moving out and spreading out actually. Next. So each tile you can see them in differently painted. So a lot of
Those all canvas.
All on canvas. This is another work which was supposed to be shown in Governor Island, Newark, but due to COVID it didn't happen. It was shown in Asia Society Museum in Newark. It was a site-specific work. It's supposed to be, the site which was given to me was Governor Island, which was a military establishment actually for a long time, and then it becomes a cultural activity center. Nobody stayed there. So it was, the site was given as Cornell's Row House, a living room and the dining space. So, and it was again Trump period, not this previously. And there was a lot of hyper nationalism was going on here in India and there also. And white supremacy and other things was going on. So what I did when when the site was going to me, I wanted to bring this house, which is from the suburb of Kolkata, there, and to see the, install the one painting, one wall in the middle of the room, where there is a fireplace, there is a wooden floor, and the chandelier, things all are there. And when the viewer is coming and see the work, they will come to see the from a very close, closely actually, and to see how they feel to see a alien culture from such proximity, and such hyper nationalism time actually. How they are going to react, and then they move to another room, which is the dining space, and then this another room is there, which is a Christian Catholic family from Baroda. A practicing Christian family, because when I went to document the home, it was Sunday and the family was not there. They went to church. I waited for a while and then they came back. So there's here they comes from there. So now the idea was that when they move from this room to another room, do they feel discomfort, and then and then when they move to another room, do they feel comfortness in that, because there's only one church is also close by actually. And also the images which you see and the previous that saints, Bengals, they were used to live in that time, when that house was being made, where the time when Vivekananda went to Chicago for this interreligious conference actually, the first conference, the same period actually. So so the bridging the time also, and also the questioning the culture. This is a COVID time. Suddenly there was a COVID, and then there was, for all this kind of practice, you need to go to strangers' houses to document their homes. That was the practice. As I said, reference comes from different aspects. In those large works, there's a one I used to go to a lot of people's homes actually to document it. But during COVID, it was not possible. During COVID, you cannot make those kind of structure. There was a lot of restrictions. And there was in Gujarat, restrictions were quite strict. So what I started to do, I started to document time. I used to document, these are small works. in a single day I has to do one work, and this work is to appear in the online newspaper. So I used to see, and because I used to know that, I mean, when you talk about the 2001 riot, you see that only 1 or 2 images have been survived. Yeah, and all are then faded away. That's the basic nature. We take, you see a lot of images every day, every second, a lot of images are being born. I mean, but I mean, if you only survive. So these are from the local Baroda and the immediate area actually near. So I know that these images are not going to survive later. So as being there, I feel that it's important to document the time also what is happening in nearby areas actually. I call them history paintings. Very thinly painted, single layer.
On paper.
On canvas, on small cutout canvas which is in the studio, stapled on a board and painted. Very small. These are slightly big. This is, I mean, done little later. Body bags in ambulance. 30 inches by 24 inches, 36 inches. Again, body bags. It was shown in Mumbai in a solo called Everyday. It is about this. The work was done in 2 years, and then it talks about those 2 years only, that particular time. It's a big, I mean, painting, almost, I mean, 25 feet long. I mean, a very small image has been enlarged. So almost like, I mean, it talks about that life, but I mean, very, I mean, almost trying to make a billboard of it actually, something like that. Yeah, I mean, this is another 40, another small canvas. I mean, it's called the beginning of the surface series actually. That time surface becomes so important to us because I mean, what to touch and not to touch actually. I mean, we started to distrust our own hands. Yeah, so this is the first time I started to paint the outside walls of people's homes. Yeah, it's called surface paintings actually. So almost like a skin of it. The area which I live. Yeah, this is called, I mean, another series, beginning of the series is called Twin Tanks. This is from my terrace, another one direction. But I mean, the ambience which has been created, the atmosphere which is created, which is entirely imaginary. The sky, the image, each and everything. But yeah, that's the only thing, because it to portray the time, the anxiety, the fear, the uncertainty. This is called dead hours. This is houses from a locality only, which are lying there for many years and nobody stays there. People have migrated from there many years back, and that's just they're lying there. I mean, so I used to see this house every day. I mean, every day and night. I used to take my dog for a walk, and then I used to see this and so yeah. I have also a similar house at Shiliguri, which is lying there. So almost like, I mean, this is just the house which is opposite of my house, which is not even broken now, doesn't exist. Yeah, this is some that same piece which is shown in Goa, but I mean again differently. So what happened? I mean, when you take a piece and show in different places, how they started to interact with the immediate surrounding and try to create new meaning. Actually, this is an old excise building, a public space. So this idea was to bring a domestic space into a public space actually. The same work which was shown in Asia Society Museum, when it was shown in Mumbai, this time I redesigned the entire gallery, and the gallery, the wall paintings are not on the wall but rather embedded into the wall. So it almost like looks like that when you see a photo album, the old photo album, that certain pages are blank, a certain photographs are there. So almost like that memory, how see things. I mean, that missing page also belongs to certain memory. Used to the photograph used to be there, but not there right now. And the missing link. I mean, those things actually. I think so. No, yeah, done. Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah. It's better when the light is on. So what happened? I want to do, the traditional format which was there in the school, in my first schooling actually, art school. That that portraiture, still life, landscape, and all things. I want to take those and then explore it differently. So at one, as if you see this, those interiors, it comes to the fall into the genre paintings or still life, extension of that, or this comes into the landscape, this comes to landscape. But I'm trying to do it very differently, blending all these history paintings. I mean, when you talk about history paintings, which is quite in the 17th century, those enormous paintings actually talk mostly biblical paintings or actual historical paintings actually. When you talk about historical paintings actually, the traditional way. Now it is being extended differently, but what I did is almost like a diary kind of thing. But it tells about a certain time, which a shared time which the whole world is experiencing at the same time. But I am talking about a certain locality only. But every person from at that point experiences the same thing. So these are things which I mean I am trying to expand actually. I mean the so-called traditional thing, I mean traditional format or divisions actually, which important, not important, there is a different question. Yeah. So this piece which you see here, the large piece actually, the title is Ancestors, and there is a subtitle also, The Ever-Changing Landscape of Our Collective Memory. So when I talk of memory is one integral part of my practice actually. So so when you talk about collective memory nobody owns it actually. It is not subjective. It is a construction by the state or by the media, by the powerful people actually, and it always been redefined to a certain point again and again for certain purpose. So what is happening now actually, I mean this not only in India but the whole world, our collective memory is again, I mean it has been redefined. Now when we talk about collective memory, earlier the collective memory has been formed through songs, stories, fables, other things are there. Now it has been, movies are there, now social media is there, history is there. History has been used as to form our collective memory. Yeah. So this is, so when I started this piece actually, first thing was that I mean I did that piece which you saw, the landscape, the impression of the human being. Yeah. So it was the idea, basic idea was to where the individuality get lost and moves into anonymity. Yeah, that was the first primary idea. And then while working, all those ideas came into part of it actually. The color palette also become very much close to ash. So to some extent, it was not intentional, but it happened. In this piece actually, the starting point of this piece was an image which was taken while flying out of JFK. Yeah. So what I mean, I always take images. I mean now also when it's coming, I took a lot of images from my window seat actually. Yeah. So it was lying with me, image, and then I did one cloud painting also, which I shown last in 2023 in New York. It deals with this COVID and but very differently. The idea was different, but it's even a cloud painting. I want to do another cloud painting. So that is there are many images. I worked on the computer and started doing this piece. The basic, when I first saw the cloud formation through my window, it felt like an island, an untouched island, a virgin island actually, and it was, I mean, it was there in my mind. The experience was in mind. I took many images, and then later I started after 2 years I started doing it actually. But while I was working on it, I worked on and off. I was working on it more than a year, and there were certain changes also. But while I was working on it, a lot of things were happening. Political thing was happening. One was that the deportation was happening. Yeah, people were branded as criminal alien and then deported to India and other Latin American countries. Yeah, that intentionally, unintentionally, that became part of it. Other thing was that that the Dingucha family from Gandhinagar district, is a village in Gandhinagar district of Dingucha. If you see, Google it, you will see that, I mean, there are 3,000 residents are there, registered residents, among them 1,800 migrated, and most of them migrated illegally, so the donkey route. What happened, one family, while they are crossing from Canada to USA, they are frozen to death, including a small child. The entire family was frozen to death. So my idea was, my question was that what was the thinking about home? What was the, I mean, they have, I mean, if you see that, I mean, it is not for poor to migrate as a donkey. They have to spend a lot of money. And I've read that, I mean, almost per person it could be up to a CR, and I mean, in Indian conditions, share is not small amount. Once is not small amount, it's huge, and that means they're not poor. They're at least, I mean, they can afford it. They have a good life here, but still they wanted to migrate there, migrate USA or some other European countries. So what was the thing? What was the idea of the home? And what, this is a forced migration. This is not even forced migration. This is a voluntary migration, and they are yet taking such a kind of drastic steps. Yeah. So this is one thing was happening during that time. Other thing was that, you know, there's a story of Trishanku in Ramayana. The story, he born as Satyabrata from same Suryavanshi actually. He wanted to go to Sargalok with his own mortal body. Now he cannot go to Sargalok with a mortal, that is forbidden. So he went to his Kulguru Vasishta, says Vasishta actually, and asked him. So Vasishta denied. So he went to his rival Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is a king, is a rival to, I mean, he became a Brahmin later. So he, a very powerful sage. So as everybody denied, the Brahmin community denied. So Vishwamitra did alone did a yagna without the help of his community, and he sent Trishanku to Sargalok, but Indra kicked him out. So while falling down, Vishwamitra did another yagna and hold him in between, and made another Sargalok for him. That is called Trishanku Sargalok. So this whole thing becomes a metaphor that the steps you take for own desire, how much you can desire for, and the steps you take, and also what happens in between two powerful entities. One is that Vishwamitra and the Indra. What happened? I mean, so these all things becomes, when you see, I mean, the whole, this is almost similar kind of things actually. Yeah. So all this is called the promised land.
There is an element of voyeurism in your work throughout.
Yes.
Whether the camera is towards you or outside. Do you want to speak more about it? And how do you feel when you see your earlier works in today's context?
Voyeurism, first time I address voyeurism. Voyeurism, when I started my career actually, one of the first thing I felt that my work shouldn't be ignored. I mean, I've seen people walking away from it. I mean, ignored in such way that what is it? I mean, it should talk. How to put it? It should have the element to, I mean, to hold the viewer.
Shock the viewer?
Hold the viewer. Shock the viewer. Shocking, all these things are kind of tools which there initially. Yeah, I was when I was in college, I was also influenced by young British group actually. Yeah, YA. Yeah. So so there that element also, a lot of influence comes from there also. A deliberate attempt to, a provocative attempt, I mean to, yeah. So that, I mean, it have, I mean, people have, I mean, told my painting obscene, vulgar. Yeah. So, I mean, that is one intention actually, intentionally doing it actually. Yeah. And, but that is one way, I mean, one tool, one device you are using it, but it's not about that. There should be certain substance, yeah, which I when I look back and see that, I mean, when I lot of things which I am talking today about my old works may not, I was thinking in that moment. Lot of things in my practice, things I'm a bit intuitive, and I try to conceptualize that intuition. It's not that, I mean, from the very, that is not the different paths. The most of the time that I feel that when something is kicking you so much, when it's urging you so much, you should start it. And a lot of them I did it, a lot of them I failed. I had a lot of incomplete canvases are there. Yeah. Because after doing it, I found that, I mean, out the incomplete, after that I cannot carry it further. Yeah, so I stopped it. But a lot of time it becomes, I mean, I'm afraid, okay, one, for example, when I did the From a Photo album series, how people reacted to it, that becomes my subject. The perception, how they are reading it, that have become my subject actually. That is the reason I mean, wanted to deliberately mislead the viewer. But the devices I use, that were very traditional. That, I mean, quoting and using things, and this subject is very simple. It could be very kind of genre, everyday painting. But underlying, you are putting many things, many layers.
In Indian art, the modern period or early modern or postmodern or different traditional schools like Kangra, or how you look at them means there is no even dot of hint. Why so, and how you look at those paintings? How you look at those schools which over the years in India, have been practiced?
Yeah, honestly, at the beginning, my visual vocabulary was very less actually. I was in Shiliguri, it is pre-internet era, and the first, my first exposure was Western art. And when I was, I mean, the first book, I still remember the first book, Western art, is Mane, and was standard 4. There was, I mean, self-taught artist in my locality. She showed me that book. Even I borrowed that book and copied 2 paintings also. Yeah. I was standard 4 or 5 during that time. So, and since then, I used to buy books from the book fair. I used to save my pocket money, and every winter there used to be book fair in Shiliguri, and I used to buy this Great Master series. And the first big book I bought, the 100 paintings Catalogue of Art Gallery, that I still have with me, my first book. So there, that was my what do you say, my exposure, and that was my parameter about art. I used to think, I mean, I wanted to be like them, but I didn't know about what about artists, how are they. I mean, that I came to know about when I joined art school. That the teacher told me that that you should join art school. But about art, at that time I used to feel art means that only. So I mean, so books which were available around me were mostly Western art. Indian art came very late in the art school in Kolkata, which didn't have any library also. There was in Indian art course there was no library, and again that time also I used to buy books in installment. The art was always expensive, so I mean I used to buy books, and those were my exposure. So I came to know about Indian art when I came to Baroda only, mostly.
So, Abir, the viewer has a very central role in your work. If you're saying that you try to shock the viewer, see what their reaction is, and then sort of
Not
not shock, but what I'm saying is that you know the subjectivity of the viewer.
yeah, its subjectivity is very important to me, but not shock the viewer is not that. I mean, I said that attention of the viewer is important to me, not shock the viewer.
No, that was my word.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
your word.
That was my word.
But
But
said hold the viewer, yeah. But I'm
Hold
talking
the
about
viewer.
subjectivity. So that really
no,
plays
what
a
he
central
said
role.
was pertinent. He said, I never wanted my work to be ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
was
the
beginning.
that is the baseline. So then I said,
Sure.
but
So-
that has also shifted from earlier works to now. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
the role of viewer has changed
Changed
dramatically. and
dramatically.
that's-
Yeah.
I think you have there's no figure in your work anymore, but there is a presence of the
Presence
figure.
of the have, because it talks about
So,
my works are always about people only.
Yeah, so it's peopled in the mind, and yet, I mean, there's utter absence of,
Utter absence. Yeah.
except for the COVID.
Except with the COVID, because it was the time. It is important to document that time actually. I mean, that particular 2 years, 20 to 22. The panic started, and when people forgot it, that great.
It's lovely to see the entire body, to see the journey.
Thank you.
And huge, very huge.
Intense. Yeah.
Can I ask maybe
Yeah.
this is a silly question, but please don't mind my asking. Your body of work is prolific. You seem to be able to create very intense canvases at a very large size at a very fast rate. And this might be a question that someone. It's because I paint as well, and I'm just in awe of the scale at which you're working in terms of time and size both.
Scale become integral part. I always love scale, but it became an integral part since Kochi actually, because I felt that I feel that nowadays we are so much used to see image on a mobile. So the preciousness of an image, we lost it. Earlier, when image was so precious, if you talk about photograph, you talk about painting, everything. I mean, now the image is obviously. So we are seeing thousand image every day. So I feel that experience is the most important factor nowadays. I mean, standing before and then experiencing a piece, any kind of painting, sculpture, whatever it is, even movie. I mean, seeing a movie in a mobile and going a theatre and experiencing it, there's a lot of difference actually. That experience factor I want to create it. I'm painting and which is holding you, pausing time actually. So that is that is skill comes from there actually, to be immersive, to be almost like you can't escape from it.
Yeah, it's a physical confrontation.
A physical confrontation, yeah.
This is what is. It has an impact of a kind.
The impact not only mind, it's the impact on the body actually, because you paint with the body, not paint with the hand or mind actually. A large canvas when you paint it takes a lot of physical energy. Yeah, so you need to be experienced such way.
addition to that, which might, I'm sorry, this is amateur, but sometimes when one works on a very large canvas, it can be intimidating to the point where let's say that we get halfway through the canvas and we doubt our reasons for starting it.
It always happens. There are a lot of works which a lot of paintings I rejected midway.
How, like really big ones?
Not really big.
Let's say you have invested 3 months working on a canvas and now you are having doubts. What would you do in such a situation?
I will push it. I will push it. If you take me, I will push it. It's a challenge. Yeah.
So you have to overcome that shadow basically in your head.
No, yeah, you have to push it. Stuck, leave it after a while. If leave it for a time. I come back later. I mean, there are a lot of alteration in this space. Color, palette, compositional structure, all this is cloud, nothing is there. But I mean, with experience it comes, with the more you work with large scale, it becomes more confident, and then you can see what is going to happen later.
Also with the medium, like
With the medium.
painting, it's possible to
Build, yeah.
Can I ask some more
Yeah.
technical questions? If anyone, I don't want to take up. Okay. And so, I know, oil is a medium that takes its own time to dry, and there's this, idea that we want to reduce all the additives that we put into the paint. We want to keep it as pure as possible. Some people like to actually make their own paint. It really depends on how pure you want to get. I'm just wondering, how do you deal with the complexity of the drying times, wherein sometimes it drips and sometimes it gets in the way. Do you just choose to go wet into wet, or
Thanks. Yeah, I mean,
does it ever get in your way?
it sometimes, definitely. Yeah, the technical errors sometimes happens, but I always used to work in Alapama process, which is wet in wet process. Earlier used to all the works were done in the Alapama process, but Alapama process takes a lot of energy, a lot of physical energy, which is not possible nowadays for me in large work. So I many layers are there, and then changes happen. So technical things happens.
When you say Alaprima takes a lot of energy, do you think it's because one cannot really pause when one wants to pause because we're tired, because we need to carry on till?
Yeah, there is definitely one reason.
Yeah.
Definitely one reason.
Thank you so much. We are actually running out of time. Abir sir is around for questioning. If anybody has any doubts or any questions, you can approach him and hear your doubts or your thoughts about the exhibition. That being said, we have some refreshments at the back. Thank you all for joining us. It has been a lovely session. And yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay.